Recurrent respiratory papillomatosis, or RRP, is a rare chronic disease driven by HPV types 6 and 11, forcing patients into a lifetime of repeated airway surgeries with no pharmacologic therapy, until now. HPV 6 and 11 infect the airway and trigger benign tumours called papillomas, which obstruct breathing and impair speech. Patients face a brutal cycle. Airway obstruction leads to repeated surgeries, sometimes dozens per year, which accumulate scarring and long-term complications. Two biotech companies are racing to change this landscape with immunotherapies. Precigen, with an approved treatment, and Inovio with one still under regulatory review. Precigen won FDA approval in August 2025, becoming the first ever treatment for adult RRP, while Inovio remains in the regulatory queue awaiting BLA acceptance. PAP Zymeos uses Precigen's gorilla adenovirus platform to train the immune system against HPV-driven papillomas and allows repeat dosing without triggering neutralizing immunity. In trials, PAP Zymeos achieved a 51% complete response rate, with most patients seeing major reductions in how often they needed surgery. Inovio's INO-3107 delivers DNA plasmids through the Selectra electroporation device, enabling ENT physicians to administer treatment right in the office. Since April 2025, Precigen's stock surged 180%, while Inovio gained just 31%, both outpacing the XBI ETF's 24% rise. Precigen's valuation reflects strong investor enthusiasm after approval, making it a top 2025 biotech performer, while Inovio trades at a fraction of that, balancing execution risk with second-mover upside. Both companies face critical risks as they navigate commercialization and regulatory pathways ahead. Precigen's early revenues could be slowed by patient onboarding delays of 4 to 6 weeks, per vial ordering that tempers revenue capture, and ongoing payer access negotiations. Inovio must clear regulatory hurdles for both drug and device, extend its cash runway into 2026, and execute on time to hit its mid-2026 launch target. The biotech capital compass uses scientific precision and strategic direction to guide investors through the complex biotech landscape. Like two parallel highways running side by side, Precigen and Inovio pursue the same therapeutic goal through different platforms and timelines, each on its own route to commercial success. An upcoming Biotech Capital Compass video will explore mRNA as a therapeutic platform, featuring Katarina from Biotech Blueprint, discussing its modular design, rapid manufacturing, and applications beyond COVID vaccines. The Biotech Capital Compass delivers sharp analysis, market insights, and actionable strategies for active investors, swing traders, and biotech enthusiasts navigating this dynamic sector. Hartaj Singh brings over 30 years of experience in drug development, corporate strategy, hedge fund management, and biotech analysis, making him a trusted guide for investors. RRP stems from HPV 6 and 11 infection, causing recurrent benign tumours that obstruct breathing, impair speech, and in rare cases become life-threatening, with no pharmacological therapies previously approved. HPV vaccination has sharply reduced juvenile RRP cases in certain regions, but it offers little relief to adults already living with the disease. PRGN 2012 trains the immune system to attack HPV-driven papillomas, allows repeat dosing when needed, and avoids the neutralizing immunity that typically limits viral vector therapies. Over half of treated patients required no surgery for more than a year, and most experienced major reductions in surgical frequency. Precigen moved rapidly through breakthrough and orphan drug designations, won FDA approval on August 15, 2025, 2 weeks early, and positioned for commercial launch in the second half of the year. INO-3107 connects DNA plasmids to the Selectra device, which enables cellular uptake so the patient's own cells produce antigens and trigger targeted immune responses. INO-3107 showed roughly 28% of patients achieving complete responses in early trials, with durability strengthening over time and extending to 3 years in some cases. Inovio's path includes securing breakthrough designation, completing rolling BLA submission by year-end 2025, achieving FDA acceptance, and targeting approval in mid-2026. Precigen's rapid execution brought it to market first with internal manufacturing and swift approval, while Inovio's methodical approach emphasizes technological versatility and broader pipeline potential beyond RRP. The 2025 stock performance of these two companies reveals a dramatic divergence in market valuation and investor sentiment. Year-to-date through September 16th, Precigen shares surged 247%, massively outpacing the XBI ETF's 4% return and the Russell 2000's 8.7% gain. Over 2 years, Precigen gained 161% compared to XBI's 22% and IWM's 34%, reflecting both the high-risk nature of small-cap biotech and the validation that regulatory approval brings. Inovio's stock is up 25% year-to-date, but down 53% over 2 years, reflecting delays, device-related manufacturing hurdles, and investor fatigue despite progress toward BLA filing. The divergence between the two names highlights how critical timely execution is in biotech, where regulatory speed and commercial readiness drive valuation. PAP Zymeos's commercial launch strategy covers epidemiology, clinical positioning, pricing, and market access in a concentrated but meaningful patient population. The roughly 27,000 adult RRP patients in the US face chronic voice loss, airway compromise, rare malignant transformation, and the burden of repeated surgeries. PAP's Zymeos dosing involves 4 subcutaneous injections over 12 weeks, with 30-minute monitoring required after the first injection to ensure safety. Precigen set the price at $115,000 per vial and linked it to a flexible per-vial ordering model, allowing institutions to avoid inventory buildup but potentially tempering initial revenue capture. The PAP Zymeos Support Hub provides insurance navigation to secure coverage, specialty pharmacy coordination to streamline fulfillment, and financial assistance to reduce out-of-pocket costs. Bloomberg Consensus Projects. Precigen revenues growing from approximately $14 million in 2025 to $109 million in 2026, reflecting expectations for rapid commercial uptake. Patient onboarding may take several weeks, and in some cases up to 4 to 6 weeks during the early launch phase, representing a key execution risk for the 2026 revenue ramp. Precigen's commercial infrastructure includes 18 sales territories covering over 90% of ENT potential, with targeting focused on 93 IDN systems that account for roughly 80% of initial potential. PAP Zymeos is manufactured in-house at Precigen's CGMP facility, which produces commercial supply for the US and is preparing for international distribution. Bloomberg Consensus forecasts a steep financial trajectory for Precigen, projecting a path from launch revenues through profitability as PAP Zymeos scales commercially. Revenues are expected to climb from $14 million in 2025 to $109 million in 2026, reach $275 million in 2027, and exceed $600 million by decade's end. Operating results are projected to swing from a $102 million loss in 2025 and $48 million loss in 2026, turning positive with over $100 million income in 2027 and scaling to more than $330 million by 2030. Adjusted earnings per share are expected to start at negative 40 cents in 2025, approach break-even in 2026, turn positive at 30 cents in 2027, and rise above $1 by 2030. At a current valuation of roughly 4.2 times 2027 consensus revenues, much of the anticipated success may already be reflected in Precigen's share price, requiring execution beyond expectations for further upside. Inovio's clinical progress and regulatory pathway show how INO-3107 is advancing toward potential 2026 approval despite a slower timeline than Precigen. INO-3107 delivered therapeutic effects across multiple outcomes. Most patients needed far fewer surgeries, many avoided them altogether, and benefits held up for years without additional treatment. INO-3107 has been granted breakthrough therapy status, orphan drug designation, and advancement under the FDA's accelerated approval pathway, representing strong regulatory support. Inovio's timeline includes completing device verification in 2025, initiating rolling BLA submission in July, completing full submission in the second half, targeting FDA acceptance by year-end, and aiming for a mid to late 2026 launch. Inovio estimates roughly 14,000 US adult RRP patients based on published studies, while Precigen references approximately 26,000 patients using third-party analyses and health record data, reflecting different methodological approaches. Despite their population estimate differences, both companies agree the market is highly concentrated, with just 400 laryngologists managing most cases and payers showing openness to rare disease pricing. Inovio's commercial preparations include identifying third-party logistics and specialty distribution partners, securing a hub services provider, and refining physician segmentation to target high-volume ENT practices. Inovio must overcome critical hurdles to achieve its 2026 launch target, including regulatory acceptance, trial execution, manufacturing readiness, and financial runway concerns. Multiple factors converge to determine launch feasibility. FDA must accept the BLA and grant priority review. The confirmatory trial must enroll successfully. Device validation must stay on track, and all timelines must hold. As of the second quarter 2025, Inovio reported approximately $47 million in cash, with runway extending only into the second quarter of 2026, indicating additional financing will be required. If approved, INO-3107 would be the first DNA medicine approved in the US, potentially reshaping the RRP treatment paradigm while validating a novel therapeutic modality. Bloomberg consensus forecasts for Inovio show a more cautious revenue trajectory and extended path to profitability compared to Precigen's aggressive projections. Revenues are projected to remain negligible in 2025, rise modestly to $17 million in 2026, following potential approval, reach $68 million in 2027, then accelerate toward $247 million by 2029. A McKinsey analysis found that second entrants captured roughly 33% market share a decade post-launch, suggesting meaningful opportunity remains for Inovio in this high-need rare disease space. INO-3107's durability data and physician-friendly in-office administration both provide differentiation from Pap/Ximios, offering convenience and sustained benefit that could appeal to physicians and patients seeking alternatives. At a market cap of roughly $121 million, Inovio trades at less than 2 times consensus 2027 revenues, significantly lower than typical biotech multiples for late-stage assets. With breakthrough therapy designation, the probability of success at the BLA stage appears high, potentially 80 to 90% by industry benchmarks, suggesting a disconnect between valuation and regulatory momentum. A strategy of holding both Precigen and Inovio offers diversification across different therapeutic platforms, exposure to different regulatory timelines, and coverage of both first-mover and second-entrant dynamics in the RRP market. Key acronyms include AE for Adverse Event, BLA for Biologics, License Application, CGMP for Current Good Manufacturing Practice, and others essential for understanding the regulatory and commercial terminology. This analysis draws on comprehensive sources including FDA approval calls, investor presentations, earnings calls, conference presentations, and third-party research from McKinsey, Bloomberg, and clinical development databases. The newsletter includes general disclaimers, editorial independence statements, risk warnings, conflict of interest disclosures with holdings in PGN and INO, consulting agreements, trading blackout periods, and jurisdictional restrictions.